After the Parkland shooting, students have had number enough. Thousands participated in the National School Walkout, leaving class to demand gun control reform and increased school safety. High school students sent a major message to lawmakers on March 14, "Number enough is enough." Beginning at 10 a.m. on the East Coast, students left their classes as part of the National Student Walkout, participating in a plethora of protests meant to pressure lawmakers to pass serious gun control reform. With protests scheduled for 10 a.m. in every time zone of the United States, and more than 2,500 walkouts planned, it was expected to be one of the biggest student protests in the country's history. Scroll through our attached gallery to see tons of pics from the protests. We will be live updating this post throughout the walkouts. Some students began protesting early, heading to Washington, D.C., before the 10 a.m. start time. The kids from Montgomery Blair HS in Silver Spring, Maryland, and their supporters walked out of school to demonstrate in front of the White House. They carried powerful signs for President Donald Trumpto: "See, NRA, there is blood on your hands," and "Thoughts and prayers don't stop bullets," among others. One had a reminder for our lawmakers: "We vote next." Soon afterward, they held a respectful, 17-minute moment of silence for the students lost in the Parkland massacre. Then, there were the students of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School themselves. The grieving students held their moment of silence in the school gym, sitting on the bleachers while holding lights in honor of their fallen classmates and teacher. Soon afterward, they headed out to march. Their allies in Washington began marching toward the Capitol building to demand lawmakers hear their demands for gun reform. There's no reason why 17 innocent lives should be taken, and why an individual even needs to own an assault rifle. The entire school emptied out to take to the streets, and chanted, "What do we want? Gun control now." The Woodland Hills students were joined by kids from Never Again MSD, Marjory Stoneman Douglas, a student-led gun control organization, as well as Representative Ted Deutsch. When the students all reached the White House around 10:05 a.m., they kneeled down for a moment of silence with their backs to the president's home. This is what democracy looks like. During the moment of silence, Nickelodeon paused their programming for 17 minutes to observe the moment of silence. They're not just entertaining kids, they're supporting the kids leading the way. MTV, BET, and Comedy Central all followed suit. Students from Laurel High School in Laurel, Maryland were seen walking out of their school, filing outside in a massive crowd. As did those at Monument Academy in Washington, D.C. Students at Sarasota High in Sarasota, Florida carried signs showing the faces and names of those gunned down in Parkland. Kids in front of the White House screamed, "You work for us." Well, they're right. Middle schoolers in NYC also participated, walking down 14th Street with their homemade signs. Their young voices calling for change are truly haunting. These are the lives we're putting in danger if we don't implement gun control. Girls at West Springfield High School in Virginia posed with signs as they walked out through the football field. One sign read, "Ban the peace, strive for peace." Another read, "Stop the silence, end gun violence." Representative John Lewis joined in with the students, and commended them on Twitter. "Sometimes you have to get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble to make a way out of no way." Lewis was one of the leaders of the civil rights movement in the 1960s, marching alongside Martin Luther King Jr. and even doing jail time for his peaceful protesting. He's urged people to never stop protesting, to never stop striving for social change. New York Senator Chuck Schumer, OK Senator Elizabeth Warren, and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi all spoke at the D.C. protest. CA Representative Grace Napolitano was also present. Everyone is inspired by a 12-year-old boy who spoke to MSNBC, "By myself, I don't think I have the power. But together with all these people here, I think we can make a change," he said. "The children are our future, and they're going to remember this moment. If politicians aren't scared yet, they have decades of Gen Z kids to look out for. Maybe the best homemade sign seen all day? A kid named Alex in DC carrying one that said, 'You bet your ass I'm voting.' Outside the Capitol, where protesters have left 7,000 pairs of shoes, some clearly tiny children's sneakers, to represent the 7,000 kids killed by gun violence since the Sandy Hook massacre in 2012. Cody McNabo, 17, a senior at Philip Barber High School in rural West Virginia, is participating in the protests but notes that gun culture is a major part of her community. It's not necessarily for gun control but for gun safety and anti-gun violence, she told Vox. It is a challenge. You want students to feel safe, you want students to feel at home. But in this area, in particular, you can't say guns blazing, we're going to take away all guns. You've got to be very clear. This is just the beginning. There's a second walkout planned on April 20, 19 years after the shooting at Columbine. On top of that, there's the March for Our Lives on March 24. With demonstrations planned in 725 locations across the world, students and their families are determined to bring an end to school shootings in their lifetimes.